I found myself to be really allured rather by this particular Momoha expression, this one particular Momoha panel in the 100 Girlfriends who really love the manga series, right? And I want to just sit down here and discuss it with you, fam. Tell me, Rindo, about the beauty of this Momoha expression, right? It may sound weird to just, for me to talk about just this one specific panel, but I guess this is a one of another series that I'm trying to do, right? Of which I just talk about specific art styles and specific panels in the story that I just found to be there's more to it than meets the eye, right? Sort of like Transformers and the like. But anyway, let's start at the start, shall we? The origin of this particular frame, which came from Momoha's very own debut chapter in chapter 108, right? So Rentaro had just met the viceful Momoha, right? And he learned about how a bit of an oddball she is, right? And how viceful she is essentially, right? He goes back to help Yamame with her gardening activities, and then suddenly the shovel of Yamame broke, leaving her despondent, yes. And the following morning, right, when Yamame and Rentaro came to check on the equipment, right, when they want to get their tools to proceed to gardening, they found a brand new pair of not one but 3 brand new shovels, and left there or by there, attached to one of them rather, there was a note coming from Momoha saying thank you for the vegetables and all that. And well, that's the moment, right, of which Rentaro then pictured or pondered within his head, right? An image came to his head as he recalled about Momoha, and this very image was the art rather, right? This very image, I guess, is the very thing that pops into his head when he thought about the nature of Momoha's character, right? Because of course you would wonder, right, how is someone this good or really this thoughtful, right, be also the same person who is this vice incarnate, right? Someone who is a drinker, gambler, and really has a lot of, well, carnal desire, so to speak, right? Now, that is exactly the thing that really kicks it off entirely, right? So much so that, indeed, Rentaro was a bit thrown off because of the antics that she pulled off, right? Momoha, I mean. And fam, I'm always a believer that first impressions are important, right? In one way or another, indeed they are. You can argue that it's a very it delivers a lot of a good factor when it comes to meeting new people and such, right? And for sure, fam, Momoha's introduction was so out of the box, even for Rentaro, right? Mind you, who is also, which is also kind of ironic, given that Rentaro is also as insane as it goes, right? So for Momoha to leave an impression to him that, okay, wow, this woman is helpless, so to speak, right? A sore loser, quote unquote, right? As he witnessed the very act that Momoha, did for Yamame, right? Rentaro then had a pondering as to what really lies deep into more of Momo's character, right? There's more to Momo's character that would later unfold and uncover through the chapter and through the following, as the series continues on, right? We get to know her true nature, and Rentaro was indeed surprised by this fact as well, right? But focusing on this specific moment, family, in the series, right, when Rentaro pictures Momoha in her mind, right? Well, that's the thing. I think in one way or another, really, it encapsulates entirely the viceful side of Momoha while also expressing another deeper meaning to it, or at least it's how I interpret it, right? Starting from the design alone, let's take a look at this design aspect right here. The style is in a sort of chibified, style of Momoha, right? Though it's only the head that's been shown, there are certain aspects to it that really make it feel like it's chibified, especially on the shape of her head, the way that it accentuates, right, her facial expression, right? And such a facial expression, fam, this one right here is one where the chosen one that they've depicted is one where she is hammered, sloshed, or under the influence, right? And notice, of course, the signature features that's been utilized, or that you could see more frequently, right, on a classic Momoha character, right? The eyes closed and shaped in this sort of form, whether it's an upside down U shape or a U shape in general, right? There's always that. There's also this aspect to her where she's blushing, right? right? And it sort of also portrays a sense of bliss in a way. She's so happy that she is, well, she gets to drink her favorite drinks, right? And her mouth as well, wide open, big wide smile, and of course, drawn into that smile or added into that smile is her signature tooth or moe fang, as in weeb terms, so to speak, right? And moe fang, for those of you who don't know, right, this is sort of character trait or character design in female anime characters, so to speak, or female characters in manga and anime, like novels and such, where there is this sort of one fang that's, you know, that can be seen or is highlighted within whenever a female character smiles, right? Especially a female character who is energetic or who has that sort of dynamic personality. And even in tsunderes, you'll notice as well, right? So, Gap Moe, Gap Fang, right? Huge smile, sloshed blushes in her face, and of course the way that her eyes are closed, right? All of that sort of also reflect into that of Momoha's character trait, and also her entirety as the character, right? The very shape, essentially, of her head as well, as I mentioned earlier, right? Sort of round, plump, chubby. It's kind of drawn in this way, slightly tilted up as well for that matter, and it shows how the curvedness in her head, or in her hair outline as well, I guess, right, shows a sense of fluidity and someone who is not stiff, right? She is sort of free, right? Someone who just goes with the flow and such. And that, family, ladies and gentlemen, is sort of the symbolization or the interpretation that I also get from this entire design, right? With all of these variables into consideration, this Momoha expression is one that exhibits one of freedom and bliss, so to speak, right? Now, Momoha is a person who really loves to do what she does, right? Again, drink, gamble, and daydream about that steamy, having a steamy time with Rentaro and such, right? And all of that into consideration, she's also a teacher and one who teaches social studies and ethics and such, right? So of course, it's really out of the box there. But with that in mind, she harbors both the vice and virtuous aspect of the human being, balancing both aspects, so to speak, right? The human self, fam, flourishes beautifully with the way that we lead our lives, right? Whether it would, ideally, following or having good morality and following the ethical and virtuous life is definitely the one that leads to happiness. And there's so many philosophical anecdotes that also kind of back this up, right? And of course, at a high degree, I also really agree to this claim as well, right? But essentially, with what we have with Momoha is that even with the vices that she has, you know, she also never forgets about the virtues of a human being. She never forgets about her moral compass, right? And that sort of perspective into leading her life is what allows her to lead her life in such a beautiful manner indeed, right? In one way or another, you know, all of us can also relate to this, you know, to some degree, and thus it's also the reason why I just feel so attracted to this particular expression, right, in this particular scene, that sometimes in life, family, you just need to slow down, relax, and embrace our vices as much as our virtues, or sorry, embrace our vices, but embrace our virtues even more, right? As you know, that's what I should have said, right? Because indeed, you know, having vices in our lives, family, is sometimes okay, right? It's nice to indulge from time to time from these, you know, things every now and then, right? You know, but of course, there always has to be that balance and a boundary and a limit to those things, right? Because we live our lives the way that we want to, we have the freedom of choice, right? We are free to do whatever we want. We have the freedom to do what we want, right? But there are certainly, again, universal laws and, you know, guidelines to our lives and everything in general that restricts us, or rather that protects us, right, and guides us to do what is right? Just to do the things that allow us to live a life that is free, but also one that is very cautious into ensuring that we do have good morality within us, right? But to Momoha's nature, she exhibits a strong sense of ethical values, golden ethical values, I should say as well, that are, well, indeed, there are some At times she exhibits it when it's kind of weird in a way, right? Again, the whole despite being ethics teacher aspect to her, right? But despite her ethical values being really shaky at times, right? Especially on, what is she really trying to do? What does she want? At the end of the day, she still exhibits an ethical value, or a value of her that really prioritizes morality and kind-heartedness and goodness overall, right? That sort of goodness overpowers, right, the viceful side that she has to her, right? And there's actually a whole lot more layers again to the entire reasoning as to why Momoha would lead the way of life that she has, right? I mean, even Rentaro points out that, if she studies ethics, and she knows ethics, why does she still continue to do these vices, right? But there's certainly that debate, and there's certainly more to talk about it on that aspect, right? But what is clear to me, right, is that she establishes that sense of understanding or self-awareness, right? She is self-aware of her actions, right, and living essentially her own way of life, right? She is simply doing what is right in her own way. She's living the life that she wants because she takes into consideration the situations and the feelings, right, of other people. And yes, fam, at some point in our lives, we also kind of follow a similar internal conflict, I guess, yeah. But all in all, right, or at the end of the day, rather, we just really want to chill. We just want to live our life with no worries, right? And this expression encapsulates that sort of freedom of bliss, and just live no worries, live your life, even if you have vices and even if you have virtues, right? But with Momoha, it also kind of implies as well, or it is that there's that sort of implication that we need to have a balance of both the good and the bad, right? But also more prioritizing on the good as well. We should never forget about the virtues, about the goodness of our hearts, to be kind to people, to be generous, and to always show compassion and understanding to the way we interact and the way we live our lives, family. And yeah, simple life. I personally, I don't really want to overcomplicate my life with a lot of problems. And that's exactly the thing, right? This expression of hers shows that we just want to really live our life with ease, rather. Sorry, no problems, where everything is just coolio. Or at least that's just my interpretation of this of this panel right here. What do you think? Thank you for listening, family, and take care.